Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of this Cycle podcast. Today, I have Abby with us. She is from Oklahoma, and she is going to tell us a little bit about her endometriosis journey. Abby, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Like you said, my name's Abby. I live in Oklahoma, and let's see, I'm 31 years old, and for fun, I like to sing and play piano, and honestly, research about hormones. And I am a total nerd for endocrinology, and yeah, that's pretty much it right now with quarantine going on. I live by myself, so.
Have you made any quarantine TikToks while you're singing and playing piano?
Yes.
Awesome.
The funny thing is that I've been singing and playing piano from a very, very, very young age, but I have the worst stage fright. I tried to major in music, and you pretty much have to like your finals are in a jury, like in front of people, and I could not handle it. I would get sick to my stomach beforehand. So for me to like be posting on TikTok, it is taking a lot of like effort because I get really anxious about it. But I've posted a couple, and my favorite thing to do is duets. I harmonize better, I think, than I do melody. So I've done a couple of those.
How do we find, I mean, this is totally unrelated to endometriosis, you guys, but I'm so into TikTok right now. What's your handle?
Oh gosh, it's Abby Kate Osteen. It's the same as my Instagram handle. So.
Okay, we're going to link that in the show notes, everybody. Go follow Abby on TikTok. Maybe we can make an endo song for raising awareness.
I have thought about doing that. I'm not even kidding you. I have, because I think my first video was I hadn't noticed anybody on TikTok talking about endometriosis, and I think that's because of the algorithm. They show you people that you can relate to, and I was always liking the music posts, and so I see a lot of music posts, but I don't see a lot of endometriosis posts. So I was like, maybe if I make one and put hashtags in it, they'll start showing up on my For You page. And I've seen a couple, but yeah, that night my endo belly was acting up really bad, and so I was just like, here's what this looks like, everyone.
I mean, that's good because the age range, I've been trying to like figure out how to do it because endo isn't fun. So I feel like that's like a hard kind of, TikTok is fun, right? It's a hard topic to breach, but the age range that is on there is the age range that needs to be educated about endo.
Exactly.
So, because that's probably what we're about to jump into with your story is, you know, when did you first start your period? And this is like a lot of the age of when girls are starting their period is the big group that's on TikTok. Anyway, I'll get off my TikTok rant. But
no, I've thought the exact same things, because if I had seen or talked to or heard anything about endo whenever this was all going on, like it might have helped me not be 31 and finally figuring this out. So.
Same. I mean, I really wish that TikTok existed when I was a tween and somebody said painful periods aren't normal. That, you know, that's what the videos need to say. I've been thinking about just making one and like holding my hands that just say painful periods aren't normal. Like, that's all exactly. Basic. Anyway, okay, so let's jump into your story. So speaking of at a young age, when did you start your period, and was it painful from onset?
Okay, I had pain before I started my period, but I did not know a single thing about my body at all. I was raised in a very, very conservative Christian home, and the majority of my friends went to that church. We did not talk about sex. My parents did not talk to me about sex. When I started my period, they did not talk to me about that at all. So I had no idea that the pain that I was experiencing was cyclical or hormone related whatsoever.
How old were you when this pain started, roughly?
Let's see. It correlates because I have PMDD, and it correlates with those symptoms. Like when I started hitting puberty, I didn't hit my period, and this is something I'm very curious to study more about, like exactly what happens with puberty when you hit your cycle, because I did not get a period until I was 16. And I started experiencing symptoms of major depression when I was 11. And I,
Was that
you
when
know,
you were like, did you have pain around 11 too?
yeah, but I didn't know that it wasn't normal. And I didn't have a very open relationship with my parents to talk to them about this.
Sure.
And so I kind of just thought that it was normal. Or like at some points in life, I actually thought I had like a lactose intolerance. And of course, being a kid, I was just like, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it. And if this is the result, then this is the result. I'm going to have stomach pain. That's fine. But it got extremely worse when I did start my period. I started a lot later than the majority of my friends, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. We just all start at different times, but yeah, I just remember thinking like this is the worst thing to ever happen to me.
Yeah. So like you started and it was like that painful periods from then on out.
I even remember too vividly before I started thinking, what is going on in my stomach? Like, I think that there's something inside of my belly, because I'd never experienced cramps like that before, not to that extreme. And specifically in my left ovary, I felt something from the get-go. And I probably had about 2 cycles before I started talking to my mom about it. And she kind of just said, yeah, pain is normal with periods. Like, your sister has it, like I've had it before I had my hysterectomy. And so yeah, from the get-go, I was just pounding down the meds, trying to make the most of my life and keep going, because everybody, they don't make fun of you as in like, oh, Abby has pain with her period. It's just kind of like, come on, Abby, can't you keep up with us? Like, what's going on? And
It's not that bad. It's
right.
because
Like,
in their perspective, like it isn't probably that bad, but they have no idea the level you're feeling. Did you miss school or like have to get picked up when you were in high school because you were in so much pain?
there's no way my mom would have ever let me miss school for just a period. I didn't start missing even work until probably my mid-20s. And I would lie. I would straight up lie, because I know that, Kitty, get down. I know that people don't take it seriously. They think that you're exaggerating or you're a wuss. I had one of the worst bosses of all time. And I think I was like 23 or 24, maybe a little younger than that. But he literally fired me because I had to call my mom to get a tampon. And so that kind of like, I don't know, set me up for not talking, like not wanting to be open about it. And so yeah, I would just lie. And I mean, I think I've even been more prone to tell a boss that I was hungover or something before I would tell him that, oh yeah, I'm on my period and it hurts really bad.
No, for sure, for sure. And it is embarrassing because it's taboo, you know. Um
Sorry.
no, this makes the podcast great. Your cat is so mad at you right now. So from like 16 to 24, you took Advil or ibuprofen or whatever, and you just pushed through it and you thought it was normal too, right?
I did. I thought it was normal. And all of my friends took birth control or were on Advil or something. And I mean, on Advil, they just always had it with them. And the ones who were on birth control, like obviously they were having sex. And so I didn't really think that that was an option for me at that point.
Right.
But I did get on birth control pretty quickly. I think that I first tried it out when I was like 18.
Okay.
But it was a disaster for
Did
me.
you? Yeah, especially probably with the PMDD.
Oh,
Yeah. So when you got on it when you were 18, did you tell the doctor like I had these really painful periods and they were like, you need to go on birth control.
Yeah. Oh yeah, straight up. And it was like, yeah, they wouldn't have a long drawn out conversation about all of my symptoms. It was just, and I went in there too, because like I told you, I had a couple cycles before I was communicating to my mom, I have this pain in my left ovary, specifically know just intuitively that that's what it is. And so when I went to the doctor, of course, that's what I told him. And he just kind of laughed me off, like, how would you know? And didn't give me an ultrasound, didn't give me anything to figure out what was going on.
Right.
I didn't get an ultrasound until like, oh gosh, 2010 or 2011 maybe. And yeah, so he just put me on birth control. And of course, I was just a roller coaster with my emotions.
Did it help with your pain at all? Your cat is so funny.
The one that helped with my pain was it wasn't one of the triphasics, it was a monophasic. And it completely stopped my period for a while. And I was like, praise the Lord, hallelujah. It did help with the period pain for sure, like the cramps and like that cyclical pattern. But the ovary pain was still there. And I couldn't figure out, back then I had no idea that ovulation was even a thing. So I didn't know. Looking back on it, it was probably ovulation pain because it would come and go. And so I would tell the doctors it would come and go, but I wouldn't necessarily have told them, oh, it's very cyclical, because I didn't keep track at that point. I just wanted it to go away.
Why would you? You wouldn't know to do that. I mean, how would you even know to do that? Okay. So ovulation pain, which you now know, or ovary pain and cramps, and then you went on birth control, and that was kind of all over the place. I'm assuming you tried a bunch of different ones. And then, yeah. And then at some point were you like, I can't take this anymore?
Yeah, because the monophasic one, I think it was Mononessa, it worked for a while, and then I started spotting all the time. And while it worked for my period pain, I broke out insanely. And you know, I tried not to be too like insecure about that, because my pain was gone. And it's like, okay, if that's the trade-off, like, sure, I'll take it. There's makeup, I'll just pour it on my face and go. And there just came a point where the acne became cystic. I was spotting, so I had pain in my face, I was bleeding in, and there was still the ovarian pain. And so I just went off of it.
And then at that point were you like, I'm just not going to take birth control?
Yeah, pretty much. There was a point in time that I tried to get back on it again, just because like I had been to several more gynecologists in my 20s, and it was kind of one of those things, nobody's going to help me out with this. Nobody's going to work with me to figure this out. So I'm going to have to research and do stuff on my own if I can. And also, one of the doctors that I went to literally put me on antidepressants and then antipsychotics and all kinds of stuff, because it wasn't even about PMDD at that point, because I didn't know that I had that.
Yeah.
And they didn't diagnose me with anything besides depression, anxiety. But they said that because my pain was so bad, it might be from a issue with depression. Like I literally might be creating that pain. And so of course I let them convince me to go on it. And I would say the worst medicines that I've ever been on are the antipsychotics. They are some serious stuff. But I also went on food stabilizers, and
is this now all kind of happening within your 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
what's your day-to-day life like? Like, are you going to college? Like, are you maintaining any semblance of like normal day-to-day life, or you just
between the pain and depression, I could not.
Right.
I just could not do it. And there's also a huge like pressure on, I would say, even in like the Church of Christ world that I grew up in, to get married. And so they make jokes all the time at the college that I went to about like you getting your MRS degree. You're not there to get a bachelor's or whatever. You're there to become a Mrs., to become a wife. And so I was way too boy crazy, and like a mixture of all of those things together, I just could not handle school.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was from a pretty early age just working full time.
And also at this time, like, does your intuition know, like, you still know something's wrong, but you're just willing to try all this because you want to feel better.
Yeah, it was, I definitely thought that I had two different issues, which was my pain and like my ovaries. And at some point in time, my sister did get diagnosed with endometriosis.
Okay.
And so that kind of tipped me off to it, but I was like, just because she has it doesn't mean that I have it. And she had an ablation surgery. And I never really talked to her about it. She's 9 years older than me. So like she's long gone with her life, starting a family, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just going through all of this. So I knew that there was a chance that I could have something wrong with me, but because I was so depressed all the time and because all these doctors kept telling me there was something wrong with me in my head, I let them convince me that there was. So I just thought that there were two separate issues, like one being that I'm bipolar. I literally thought that that's what was wrong with me. And then one being my pelvic pain. And the pelvic pain always was lesser to everything else to the
Right.
doctor's mind. So
Of course.
I just,
Because it was in your head, because all
yeah.
that pain's in your head to them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Unacceptable. Okay. So you're on this journey of doing all of these type of different things, experimenting. Your sister gets diagnosed with endo. What happens next?
I'm just on all these medications, and I got off birth control because I was starting all of these antidepressants and like antipsychotics. And I don't know if this is normal, but there was one of my doctors who literally would just switch them out weekly almost. Like, oh, that's not working for you, let's get something else. And that's not the way that antidepressants work anyway. You have to be on them and like titrate up and, several months even, I've read before, for something to actually work. And yeah, I would just switch through all of these medications, and it got crazy. I felt like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when I was on birth control at the same time as like any.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. And how's your pain at this point? Are you still having painful periods? Are you starting to have pain every day? Like, what's your pain situation?
Awful. Every single month that went by, I swear it got worse. My periods got heavier. They would be even more irregular sometimes due to all of the like stuff that was happening in my brain with the SSRIs and all of those. And then one mood stabilizer that I started taking, it was crazy. It was called Lamictal, and it actually did help my moods for a while, but then I got this rash all over my body, and apparently it's very serious. So when I got that, I don't know if it was due to stress or due to the pill that I was on, but my period completely stopped for like 3 or 4 months. I was still having pain though. The ovary pain, probably around 24, 25, became constant everyday pain.
Yeah. Okay. So then what do you do? You're getting like something, what happens next?
Well, my mom is going to hate me for saying this, but what happened was I realized that whatever was wrong with me also caused pain during sex, excruciating pain. So that's another thing that's so taboo, especially in the church of Christ world.
Yeah, I'm sure it's even more taboo. It's taboo with everyone, but I can't even imagine in a more like religious environment, extremely taboo.
So I had no one to talk to. I tried to talk to doctors about that, got nowhere. I didn't even feel comfortable talking to my boyfriend about it.
Of course.
I would always, literally, this is probably the most real thing that I'll ever admit, but I had to get drunk all the time because it hurt so bad. And I was like, I'm not going to keep my boyfriend from having sex with me. Like, that's absurd.
Right.
And then, like, the poor guy, I haven't talked to him since about this, because that's not something that you want to just like call your ex and be like, listen, I was so crazy because of this and this and this. So I would cry after sex and like not tell him about the pain.
Yeah.
And it was just a mess. Oh gosh. But after he broke up with me, that's when I really started digging into my own research. I got a new primary care doctor, and like I said, I had an ultrasound which showed a huge grapefruit-sized endometrioma on there. However, I don't even remember speaking to a doctor about this. It was just a technician who said, oh, this is just cyclical. It'll leave. And I was like, I knew right then. I guarantee you I've had this endometrioma since I was 16, if not before then.
Right.
I knew. And I let them convince me that it was just going to go away. And of course, it never went away. I started having what they call rectouterine spasms. The worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Everything got worse progressively.
Yeah.
And that's what finally pushed me to getting some real help and doing some real research. So I guess those like spasms just kind of tipped me off that something was even more wrong than like I was letting myself be convinced.
Yeah. So how old are you now at this point? Are you still in your mid-20s or more late 20s?
I'm in my mid-20s. I was probably 26. They started happening around the time that I did start having sex. So I don't know if it was just like that kind of pressure in there that was just making it worse, or if it really was just endometriosis just growing. And I didn't know about diet or anything. My diet was terrible.
Right.
I'm sure the inflammation in my body was just outrageous at that point.
Yeah.
And I was getting drunk all the time to try and have sex.
Right.
So, yeah, it just all became a problem. And I was like, this has got to stop.
So when you talked to your doctor about the endometrioma, did they still say like, let's watch and wait and see if this goes away?
They didn't even say, let's watch. That was the thing that pissed me off the most.
Yeah. Endometriomas don't go away.
Right. But they didn't say it was an endometrioma. They said
Of course
it was
not.
just
A
a regular
complex cyst.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
they said it was cyclical. And they even said, like, you came in at the wrong time, because this is the time during your cycle that it's going to show up. And if you come 2 weeks from now, it'll be gone. And so in my mind, I was thinking, why not come back in 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Then? Yeah.
But they never did anything about it. And my primary care physician, I love her. She was amazing, but she didn't really know about endometriosis.
Of course.
And so she didn't know where to direct me at that point. She kind of just said, like, keep a watch on your spasms, and if they get worse, go to the ER and maybe they can do something. And
oh boy.
Yeah, I did get broken up with, and so I didn't have to worry about that pain anymore. And I thought after that my spasms would go away. But let's fast forward some to like I'm 29 and they are out of control. Like,
right. So from like 26 to 29, you're still just dealing with all of this. You still haven't had any help.
But the problem was that I couldn't get help, you know?
No, nobody knew how to help you.
I felt like I had already gone to enough doctors. At that point, I'd probably only seen 5 gynecologists. And so I thought, okay, like that's all I can do. If they're all telling me that nothing can be done, nothing can be done. But yeah, like there was one point in time, literally Thanksgiving when I was 29. So this was only a couple years ago. I had one of the worst spasms that I ever had. And the rectouterine spasms are literally in my rectum and my uterus at the same time.
I can't imagine.
It's the worst. And it happened a lot with bowel movements, but it happened even more so like when I was ovulating. I'm not sure what was going on in there, but yeah, so they were hours at a time, and every doctor that I saw had said like, oh yeah, rectouterine spasms exist, but they only last like 20 minutes max. And mine were literally 2 hours at the worst point. The night before Thanksgiving, I had one, and I would have gone to the ER if I could have done anything. Like, I kept trying to get Siri to activate on my phone so I could like call somebody, but like I couldn't move. I was just clutching myself.
Yeah.
And I think that I was like in and out of consciousness too, because it hurt so bad I would like pass out. So I couldn't move. And it finally went away at like 4 a.m. or so. And so I went back to sleep, and then I woke up and it was Thanksgiving. That's the first day I've ever had endo belly. I had never had, I mean, I'd been bloated, but this was massive. And I was just so scared for anyone to touch me. It was Thanksgiving. I wasn't happy. I couldn't eat because my stomach hurt so bad. I was bleeding, and I wasn't supposed to be bleeding yet, which I had spotted with them before with the spasms.
Yeah.
But this was just like full on, like something's wrong. Like it was as though my body was reacting to somebody actually physically punching me. And that's what was just a red flag in my mind. Like, this is not normal, even for me. So I saw several gynecologists just right in a row. So many. And
did you Google endometriosis at all at this point?
I did, but the Googling did not provide
the detail that you needed.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the detail that I've found later on through people.
Yeah.
Through this community.
Yeah.
Can you go lay down? Go lay down. She's just breathing down my neck. Okay, so yeah, I saw 20 doctors in 2019, like over 20. But it was crazy. But like I told you before, I felt like I couldn't get help.
Yeah.
Around the time that I was 25, 26, and I had seen 5 gynecologists. Back then I was like, who sees 5 gynecologists? That's crazy. Maybe I am crazy, and I'm just expecting way too much out of this. But by the time 2018, 2019 rolls around, I was like, no, this is not normal. The symptoms that I'm experiencing are not normal. Hey, go lay down. Sorry. They never act like this. So
for everyone listening, Abby's dogs are playing, and she has a cat that wants all of her attention. So it's been actually very exciting. We're on Zoom video. So if you want to watch it, check out the podcast on YouTube /Melissa Boudreau. I like it. I love animals. So they're just jealous. They want to be on camera with you.
This isn't even the first time that I've had a Zoom meeting or anything, and they've been angels every other time. So.
No worries.
Sorry, it must be the weather or something.
Okay, so in 2019, you see 20 gynecologists.
Right. I had, well, and they weren't all gynecologists either.
Doctors.
Yeah. They're like, I saw neurologists, I saw like nurse practitioners, just literally anybody who could get me in to talk to me about this. There was one nurse practitioner who was kind of helpful. She did an exam on me, and she explained that when you have endometrial webbing in there, that when you do an exam and like you try to move your uterosacral ligaments, they are just kind of fused and they don't move, and everything's supposed to flow in there. Like, our pelvis is kind of, everything just hangs in the balance, and it's supposed to move. And that's why sex isn't excruciating for people, because your cervix can like move back, your ovaries can be pushed over, whatever. Everything just flows.
Everything's supposed to be like floating around in a happy place like clouds.
Right. Yeah. Right. And she was like, I'm gonna need you to relax. And I was like, I'm pretty relaxed. Like, I don't, and so we sat there for a while, and she was examining and doing her thing down there. And she like came back up and felt on my stomach, and she just said, you're fused together. Like, I know you have endometriosis. And that was what, yeah, I was like, okay, that's good. We're getting somewhere. And like I said, I was 29, 30. I would have been 29 at that point. Yeah. And so as soon as she said that, I did the only thing I knew how to do, which was Google and talk about it on the internet. I felt like, I don't know, it was so taboo of me to say anything, but I did. I got on Facebook and I said something like, "Hi, does anybody know anything about this? Because I might have it. Sorry to talk about my private parts, but like
Good for you.
this
Good.
is too bad." Um, I had one friend reach out to me and she told me about Nancy's Nook and all of the valuable information that they have on there. So I went straight to Nancy's Nook, started researching, found the research that I needed to find, which Google, I mean, has gotten better even since then,
Yeah.
for sure. But back then, there was just nothing that I could find that was even helpful. It was like, yeah, painful periods, pain with sex,
Yeah.
but you still might not have endo. So don't, like, yeah, it was just not helpful. But just seeing all of those women on there talking about it and talking about their symptoms and how, yeah, even just period pain is not normal. I was just like, well, if period pain isn't normal, then my cramps and spasms and bleeding and all of this must really not be normal.
Yeah.
And so the same friend who put me onto that group told me that there was one surgeon in Oklahoma who could do excision surgery. And I contacted him, and he was the first doctor I felt like listened to me at all. I was there for like 2 hours talking to him about my whole journey. And he pulled up, I had probably 10 ultrasounds by the time that I got to him. Like, yeah, from all those gynecologists who did not point me in the right direction, they all said the same thing. I did not even hear the word endometrioma until I went to see Dr. Goff. And he did an ultrasound just because he wanted to see if it had grown any, which it had. And he compared it to all the last ultrasounds that I've had. He turned the ultrasound screen around to me and showed me adhesions on my uterus. And he said, yeah, you definitely have endo. Like, this is obviously adenomyosis as well. Like, he was like, I can already tell that that's what's going on. And he pretty much said, like, you probably have stage 4, but at least stage 3, I can tell just from the ultrasound. And I was like, well, if you can tell this from the ultrasound, what's wrong with all the other gynecologists I've been seeing my entire life?
Not
It,
trained. Not trained. You don't
it
know.
just so simple to me. And it was very clear too. It wasn't like he had to go looking and digging. It was
No.
just like,
Yeah.
oh, here's the adhesion. And I could see a big old line on my uterus and like lines on my ovaries, and the endometrioma is sitting in there on my fridge because it, yeah, it just looked like a freaking baby ultrasound or something. And so I joke about it because you do, when you have endo, you have to joke about it or you'll go crazy.
Yes.
So I always joke about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my baby that I had delivered in February.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So does he say like, all right, we need to get surgery?
Yeah, for sure. And I was really scared about it because I had a whole lot of other symptoms going on that aren't related to endo. I also have Ehlers-Danlos, and we don't have to talk about all of that. But I've had some really weird like spinal issues with my neck, and they affect my head and my vision and all of that. So I was really scared to go like under anesthetics because I didn't know how my spinal cord was going to react to that. I didn't know about the way spinal fluid works, and so I did a lot of research on that before I did it. So I probably waited too long to get surgery from when I found him, just because I was fearful.
Scared.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's normal.
right. But and he was like, well, if you're not going to do this, like, I do kind of want to put you on some kind of suppressant so it doesn't grow anymore. And I'm like, okay, if I've had this sucker 10 years, like, how much is it really going to grow?
Yeah.
I've been dealing with this. But he put me on Agestin, the
Progesterone only pill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you feel on that?
Honestly, I felt pretty good. I'm not pain wise. It was like, it amped my pain up like extremely high. And I didn't have any spasms, I don't think, while I was on that pill, but I was only on it for a month before I quit again. But mood wise, I was just worlds different. I didn't have PMDD that month, and that just blew my mind. Um, so after that, I had been doing more research about birth controls, and of course, I loathe them. I really do. I just hate them. But I was like, okay, I'm going to go on a natural progesterone because I knew that the agestin was just synthetic, and those are literally modeled after animal hormones. So why would I want to put that in my body? It didn't make sense. But the progesterone made me suicidal. And so I only took that for 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, let's get surgery.
Yeah. Yeah. Hormones are very, very difficult to balance, and I still don't have it figured. Not that I'm a doctor, but I still haven't figured out mine. So it's tough.
So
So when was your surgery?
it was in February.
So 2 months ago. My gosh. And then quarantine happened right after.
Yeah, I haven't gone to my pre-op.
How are you feeling? How was the surgery? What did he find? Tell us everything.
Okay, so even when I was being rolled into the surgery room, I was panicking. I was like, I don't have endo. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to feel completely invalidated. And I was just literally just like all the emotions, bawling, excited, back to like anxious, just all kinds of things. And they had to psych me out because I was on the verge of a panic attack. And so he was like, no, we're not going to knock you out yet. Just like breathe into this oxygen mask and you'll be fine.
Good night.
And then, yeah. And so I woke up and they told me I wasn't going to remember what he said, but I did. And he told me all about how I had stage 4, and that wasn't the only endometrioma I had. He just couldn't see the other 2 on my right ovary, but from the ultrasound, because there was so much going on in there. Yeah, so he said both of the endometriomas on my right side were like pretty good sized as well, but obviously the one that was a grapefruit was causing me the most pain. But here's the thing, like I was expecting, okay, since all of that like was in there, now my endo's gone, it's removed, right? But I told him before I went in that I didn't want my uterus removed because I haven't had children, and that's not some like the decision isn't something that I want to be taken away from me yet. And so he said, because you kept both of your ovaries and your uterus, you still have endo. I was just like, can you tell me why you didn't get it all? Like I was just crying, like, and yeah, so that's something that like I kind of wish that I had managed my expectations before the surgery, because I just thought this is going to cure me. I'm going to finally have no pain and it's going to be all better. But he told me that the webbing from the endo that was around the endometrioma in my left ovary, it had fused my uterus to my pelvic wall, my ovary to my pelvic wall, and my bowels. And then my intestines were also just connected in that webbing. So all the times that doctors had tried to diagnose me with IBS, like obviously like I had an issue, but it wasn't the typical just IBS. So he said he removed as much of that as he could, and that obviously that's where it's going to take the longest time to heal, because there's several incisions down there. There were adhesions, and there was some like behind my appendix, like in my diaphragm, just all over. Yeah. And so the experience was amazing because Dr. Goff is brilliant. However, recovery has not been exactly like I thought it would be. It's hard, but it's worth it. And I know it's going to be worth it, because for me, it hasn't been long enough to see a huge improvement. I still have pain every day in my like left ovary area. And I don't know if now it's from the incisions that are trying to heal over there. I don't know if it's from the incisions on like my bowel area that he had to make.
How many hours was your surgery? Do you know?
Oh gosh. I want to say 4 or 5. It wasn't that long.
I mean,
But
that's still a long time. I mean, think about the thing I always try to tell people is, yeah, your first couple months, you still like you might feel lighter, like you probably feel lighter and like different, but the thing is like they're in there cutting. So like think if someone was cutting on your arm for 4 hours and then they had to stitch it up for it to repair. It's going to take time. I always tell people wait like 4 to 8 months before you know for sure. um
I'm just so scared that I'm going to go back in there, and because I chose not to take hormones, and because I've done some research on like the emotional effects of surgery as well, and it's kind of got the same aspect of like postpartum
mhm.
like depression. And so I was like, I don't want to put another birth control into that mess,
Yeah.
because then I won't know where my like baseline is. And I am big about that now with my mental health. Like I want to know where my normal baseline is before I add any medication in. And since I can't go to my post-op and get an ultrasound, I'm just so scared he's going to say, yeah, that endometrioma is right back where it was, like it's growing. And that's what I'm most scared of, but I'm trying to keep positive thoughts and say that that's not the case.
Yeah, and just for people who are listening or watching too, I've had 6 surgeries and I thought every single one was like, well, the first couple I had no idea what it was. But then after I had excision, I was like, this is my cure. I'm going to be totally fine after this. And same, like I didn't realize, I didn't know that my expectation should really be, I should be really happy if I get to 80%.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to work on that a lot too. And after my last surgery, I definitely went through like a depression afterwards. It was traumatic for me. It was a lot, and I didn't realize how hard it was on me. So I think, yeah, and I'm glad that he said that I'm glad he at least told you like there's still endo in there. I'm sorry I didn't get it all. So
Right.
but it also doesn't mean that you're going to feel terrible either. I mean, if he got a lot of it out in the endometriomas, and if he took like the wall of this out, you could feel really well for a long time before you need any other intervention. And then the other thing I always tell people is, surgery is just a part of it. Like there has to be multiple things you do to help with endo. And I don't know if, for some people it's pelvic floor therapy or PT or adding acupuncture or changing your diet, but it's unfortunately it's chronic and it's a lifestyle. Like you have to like change. It's unfortunate, but if someone came up to us and told us they had MS, that's a chronic illness as well, and it has to be managed. And I feel like that's something that's not talked about a lot in the endo community, that you just kind of reminded me to say, is like surgery helps, but we still have to manage the disease afterwards.
Yeah. And that's, I had seen stuff on Nancy's Nook about that, but I thought surely that won't be me, because I know that my pain is coming from this endometrioma, and once it's removed, I should be good to go. But that is not the case. And I was going to go to pelvic floor physical therapy, and then Corona hit.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing research, and I saw one pelvic floor physical therapist on telehealth, but that you can't really do anything. She gave me, a couple exercises to do, but it's not the same. So
And you're still healing. I mean,
oh
you're still healing. Take that time to heal. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Don't overdo it. Rest. That's the most important part of all of the recovery part too, is just you have to rest after that surgery. But there's also people I met that had one surgery that were fine after two. So it's just everybody's journey is completely different. Stay positive and trust your gut. One thing you did that you were amazing at was you kept trusting your gut. You knew like this isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right. That will always lead you down the right path. Just keep trusting what you feel.
yeah. Yeah, that's something that I'm really passionate about now, is just our intuitive ability to know what is wrong with our own bodies.
Yeah.
And yeah, when doctors say no, there's nothing wrong. There was a terrible doctor that I saw right before Dr. Goff, and I bled for days after that appointment. And she told me that again, that it was pretty much all in my head, that she was not sure that I had any endo, and if I did, it was very like minuscule. And she told me that there's no way that I could have PCOS because I was skinny. And she talked about like my eating habits and stuff, and I said, honestly, like I probably don't eat enough because my stomach hurts and I get stressed out, and I don't know what to tell you. And she was like, yeah, there's no way then that you have like PCOS, and you probably don't have endo either. If like this is something else, like an irritable bowel or even like an eating disorder. And I was just, okay, well, you suck. So let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, what I like to always say is thank you next. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was before I got married, and my husband, now husband, came with me to a lot of the appointments. Poor guy started dating me like right when I started my journey. But we would almost look at each other in some of these appointments and literally walk out because it was just like the craziest things these doctors would say. And I don't even want to fault them. They're just uneducated.
Yeah, right. And I wish I had walked out on some of them. I honestly do, because you can feel the intuition again in your gut telling you,
Yep.
I know more about endometriosis than you do.
Yep.
That's kind of a red flag to me. And she was just talking crap on excision surgery and said ablation was the way to go. And I was just, nope.
I want to hear a really amazing thing that one of my friends did who has endo. He bought an endo book and sent it to one of the doctors that told her the wrong information. It was like, just wanted to let you know you were wrong.
That's fabulous.
I was like, I need to start doing this. Well, I don't have to anymore because I have a good doctor, but well, good. Well, anything else you want to add? Any tips, any tricks, anything that we missed that we didn't chat about?
I don't really think so. I mean, it's all, like you said, it's all about management. And I've started taking it day to day, because
Yes.
especially with recovery, like you're going to have 3 good days and then one really bad day again. And yeah, I just find all the different ways. I'm huge about natural remedies. And I don't know if you've heard of Elix Herbal Healing. They're a pretty new company. They basically use traditional Chinese medicine to like look at your specific cycle. And they do like how in Ayurvedic medicine they take a picture of your tongue, or like they look at your tongue to kind of see what's going on. They do that there, and I've taken it for 2 months. This will be my like 3rd one coming up, and I, since surgery especially, have had such a heavy period.
Yeah.
And it's just been painful, just emotions crazy. And I noticed the 2nd month that I took Elix, it shortened my period. So usually I'll be from like 7 to 9 days, and my pain will be probably 6 or 7 days. The cramps start before, and then it just lasts the whole time. The first time in my life that I have not had that many days of pain. It was it was like 2 days of cramps, and I was just wondering what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's just Elix either.
No,
I'm saying
the surgery also.
surgery. Yeah. And
I want to update from you in 4 months, because I think you're gonna have once you're healed, you're gonna be like, okay, I still have period pain, but nothing like it used to be.
right. I hope so. And with adenomyosis, it's there, but yeah, like I said about management, just I've done so much research on supplements, on just different herbs. And that's why I was excited about Elix, because I've actually heard of some of the herbs that they have in their formulas, but not ever been able to find them here in Oklahoma. So I was just elated to hear about that. And then, I take magnesium, as we all probably do, for our cramps. And this is the first like full week that I've had medical marijuana. And so I'm experimenting with that. I'm not telling you I'm an expert or anything. But there's also a CBD rub that I use that is so helpful. It's from Humboldt Healing Company.
Oh my gosh,
And
I use that too.
you do? I love it.
It helps so much.
Right. It's amazing. And like, I've never ever used a rub that has
Same.
actually improved my period cramps until then.
Yeah.
Just blew my mind. But yeah, they have one that has like clove in it and lavender and just peppermint, whatever. I'm like, give me all of them, thank you.
Yeah.
But that helps a lot. And then smoking weed has helped my mindset. I will say that. It hasn't helped take away my pain, but again, I'm not sure what strain I'm even on right now or whatever. So I'm working that out. But my point is, it's management of all the things that you can think of to help. Yoga and meditation have definitely helped me, but after surgery, I haven't been able to do yoga. It feels like I'm just stretching apart down
Oh yeah,
there.
you still need to heal. You still
Right.
need to heal, yeah.
The meditation stuff, though, oh gosh, I hated people when they kept telling me that over and over. But mindset is everything when it comes to managing endo. I'm not saying that, meditate your pain away. I'm not one of those people at all, because that's something you simply cannot do. It's a real physical disease that does not heal magically.
Yes.
But when it comes to my mindset about managing endometriosis, meditation has helped. And I just use like guided hypnotherapies on stuff like that. Just something to remind me to be mindful and present in my body, even whenever it hurts.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's all. I mean, you are doing amazing. You're on the right path. And I've also I have a podcast coming out soon, but I talked to someone who she talked a lot about. She does CBD every day, like a CBD tincture under her tongue. And it's not only helped her anxiety, but it helps her daily pain.
Right.
So I haven't personally done that myself. I still just use the salve, and I haven't done medical marijuana because I'm scared. Like I think back to high school when I smoked weed, and I admit it, and it gave me wicked anxiety. And so I was like, I can't do this. But the medical strains are different. You can talk to like a pharmacist about it, and they can help you. So I'm agree with you. I'm all about the natural route because this is something that's long term. It's hard to maintain non-natural ways, in my opinion, long term.
Right. I agree completely. And yeah, like the indica strains, I know help me more than sativa. Sativa makes me like my anxiety go crazy like that. But I know that what I have now is a hybrid of both of them. So I do kind of get that effect. But I've noticed if I put myself in a good frame of mind beforehand and like make sure nobody's going to call me, nobody's going to bug me, and I can just chill for 2 hours and watch TV or something, I've noticed that that really helps. And it's kind of like building up my tolerance to it. So yeah,
Well,
just to
good.
each their own on that.
Yeah, of course. Everybody is different. Everybody's body's different. Everybody's biology is different. So I talk about this all the time on the podcast. You have to, unfortunately, you have to test. There's no silver bullet that works for everybody, and no diet that works for everybody. It's all unfortunately like a game of chess. Like you're just moving pieces around to see what helps. So.
Right.
Well, Abby, I really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Of course, I enjoyed it. It was
Good.
fun.
You did awesome.